say the fear of poisonous spiders is the most common phobia in the world. Which is why many, many people would be creeped out to see this. In the Kampong Cham province of Cambodia, the Thai zebra tarantula is considered a tasty treat. Cambodians first turned to spiders to ward off starvation under the brutal regime of the Khmer Rouge. Now, decades later, they've acquired a taste for spider meat. Even if visitors have not.
No, I'm sorry, I'm a vegetarian. I've actually just eaten.
Wow.
Wow.
Come on.
No, not until hell freezes over. I'm sorry, I hate spiders. I hate spiders.
No.
How do spiders get from field to fork? Well, first trackers must venture deep into spider territory. The popular tarantulas are getting harder to find. Searchers dig into nests and then root around inside with their bare hands. A bite from a poisonous tarantula may not be fatal, but it's going to hurt. Next, the captured spiders are put into the hands of local cooks. They're washed and then seasoned. Recipes vary, but the arachnids are usually fried until crisp. And served piping hot. Oh, and they come with a dash of poison, but locals say that's what makes them good for you. Top 3 countdown, baby escapes. Number 3, baby albatross learned to fly on this Pacific beach. Easy pickings for a tiger shark. Seconds before jaws snap shut, this little guy finally figures out how to take off. It seems the fear of being eaten is excellent motivation. Number 2, a lioness tackles a baby Cape buffalo. An unfair fight in anyone's book. But here comes Mom. She outweighs the predator 3-1 and sends her flying. Let's see that again. She uses a horn like a spatula. Number 1, Mom's no help here. This baby baboon's got her head trapped in a croc's mouth. Ready for a miracle? Somehow she manages to escape the massive jaws. With nothing but bad hair to show for it. Scrambling over cliffs can be pretty dangerous, which is why most rock climbers use ropes. But what about climbers who like the freedom of climbing without ropes, yet don't want to plunge to their deaths? Well, here's one way. But that's not an option for those who live in the interior of British Columbia. There's no water in sight. So when they slip, they need something like this. A net, strung across a chasm, keeps climbers from plunging into the rocks below. It's a brilliant idea from climber Matt Mataloni. He borrowed a fishing net and rigged it below a boulder he often climbs, across a crevasse of jagged, deadly rocks.
The net's got to be a long way off the ground because it stretches a long way. So it'll drop maybe like 15 feet before we come to a stop. So we still got another 15 feet before the bottom.
Testing it is a leap of faith. Fall at the correct angle, and you bounce more or less safely to the middle. The climbers have to learn to grab the net if they hit it wrong. Matt fine-tunes his rigging.
When you're climbing the route, it definitely feels like you got nothing below you. Pretty awesome. Oh yeah, I got this.
For Matt and his friends, climbing without a rope can be exhilarating, knowing that if you fall, you won't hit rock bottom. In the Florida Everglades, a startling discovery. The remains of a giant python that is split completely open. Protruding from its belly is grim evidence of the last gargantuan meal, an alligator the size of a human. It's possible to see the reptile's undigested leg and tail. So this massive snake ate a gator half its size and swallowed it whole. How is this possible? Brad Moon is a grant from National Geographic to discover exactly how pythons and anacondas kill and consume their prey. To start with, they're perfectly designed to squeeze their victims to death. To give you an idea of snake anatomy, take a human body and stretch it out 4 times its normal length. Add 300 vertebrae, 600 ribs, and lots of muscle, and you've got a deadly combination of flexibility and strength. To test snake power, Brad puts a sensor on a duck, then measures the force of an anaconda that coils around the prey. He discovers the snake is squeezing with a shocking amount of pressure.
78.
It's the equivalent of a 4,000-kilo school bus sitting on a human chest. And it doesn't let up for 15 minutes.
The snake is still squeezing like crazy. That's incredible. Anacondas are probably the most powerful snakes in the world.
The snake isn't just suffocating its prey. It's likely compressing the heart, maybe even snapping bones to make the meal easier to swallow. Because when it comes to swallowing, nothing quite beats this type of snake. It can consume an animal larger than its own mouth. The jaws have not 1, but 2 hinges, allowing it to open wide, really wide. That's what likely happened in the Florida Everglades. The giant non-native Burmese python somehow swallowed an alligator that was huge, half its own size. It's an astounding, if freakish accomplishment that these researchers are going to recreate in a lab, using a snake and a dead gator to scale. It takes only 10 minutes for the python to swallow the victim. The snake's curved teeth march up and over the body. And just in case anyone was wondering what it's like to be swallowed whole by a snake, a small camera attached to the gator shows its progress. Waves of muscle in the elongated esophagus push food toward the stomach. The lumpy snake is put under an X-ray. The gator is in there, fully intact. But a succession of X-rays reveal the gator as it's digested. And within 9 days, it's disappeared. From start to finish, it's a fascinating process. Unless, of course, you're the prey. It's known as Kung Fu. And monks at the Shaolin Monastery in eastern China have been training in the martial art for more than 1,000 years. Starting as children, they toughen their minds and bodies through a series of physical trials. Squatting as they eat their meal. Getting pounded for hours on end to toughen their muscles. The results? Strength and control. Now, some of the martial arts experts have crossed the ocean to the U.S. city of San Francisco. Like all Shaolin monks, they come in peace, which is a good thing, because you wouldn't want to fight these guys. Shi Yan Ran is a master who has been at this since he was 6 years old. He's come to the U.S. to teach the ancient Chinese martial art to a new generation. Under the watchful gaze of the Buddha, the master demonstrates his incredible strength. A spear sharp enough to slice an apple. Yet he bends it, not with his hands, but with his throat. His muscles are as hard as rock. Another monk balances his entire body weight on just 4 fingers. And finally, a sheet of solid glass. A monk is going to attempt to hurl a needle with so much force that it will pass through the glass and pierce the balloon on the other side. The needle bore straight through the glass, leaving a perfect hole. Here's the same action again. This time we see that a pocket of supercharged air in front of the needle does the actual popping. It's a graphic example of Shaolin's strength and skill, honed through the centuries. Penguins in the southern Arctic take to the air. But wait, can penguins really fly? This story could be true or false. It's up to you to decide. Generally, penguins are clumsy on land and smooth operators in the water. But there are dozens of species of this remarkable bird. This colony of Adelie penguins lives most of the year on King George Island in Antarctica. Then, during mating season, they flock by the hundreds towards the mainland of South America. It's an awesome sight. But is it true? No. Penguins can't really fly.
Penguins move by flapping their wings. It's almost as if they're flying underwater. And when they leave the water and launch themselves out, they flap their wings like crazy. But inevitably, gravity pulls on them and they slam back down on the ice.
These marvelous images of penguins on the wing were created as an elaborate April Fool's prank. In reality, penguins aren't leaving the surface of Earth. At least, not for long. Top 5 countdown, images from above. Number 5, Coral in the Great Barrier Reef off Queensland naturally forms in the shape of a heart. Sweet. Number 4. Another heart. This one in Senegal is made by mangroves in the wild. Love it. Number 3. What looks like eggs sunny side up is actually a water treatment plant in Chile. Not so yummy. Number 2. It looks like a giant tree carved into earth, but it was inadvertently created by loggers clearing a Swedish forest. Number 1. The top pick for image from the air was taken by a Nat Geo photographer named Bobby Haas. Pink flamingos flocking together along the Gulf of Mexico create a group portrait of one big bird. A plastic bottle is completely shredded. It's a chemical reaction that's deceptively simple and potentially dangerous. Behind the scenes, the substance known as dry ice is handled with gloves.
Get everybody to either have eye protection, get like 100 feet away.
It's actually frozen carbon dioxide, 3 times colder than regular ice. Its surface can burn skin. Mix it with water, and the carbon dioxide turns from a solid into a gas. Now, it's a waiting game. The increasing amount of carbon dioxide gas is nowhere to go.
I can hear it going.
Pressure builds, and the bottle expands to the breaking point.
Oh, wow, it's expanding. Come on. Will it ever expand? Holy shnikes. That was crap. Whew. I think I got it. I hope I got it. Look at that ring. What is that?
Right here?
Yeah. What is that?
I think it might be the top of the lid.
Interesting.
Viewed with this high-speed camera, the explosion is powerful enough to destroy everything but a plastic ring on the spout.
And that was just a bit of dry ice. That was quite scary.
Thumbprints have been used to identify individuals for centuries. After all, no two are alike. But it turns out no 2 human tongues are exactly alike either. So someday, this may not be a rude gesture. Just another way to say, hey, it's me. This little marvel of engineering ingenuity is Nat Geo's Critter Cam. It's a camera that's fastened to animals to see what they do when humans aren't around. Like with these humpback whales off the southeast coast of Alaska. Researcher Fred Sharp manages to attach the camera to a 5-month-old calf with a suction cup. Below the surface, the little whale swims to his mother. This has never been seen before, a calf's perspective as he nurses. But this guy's a sloppy drinker. The cloudy white plumes in the water are actually spilled milk. When it's mom's turn to eat, with a slight tap of her fluke, she moves away from baby and heads toward the surface to join the adults in a feast of herring. It's an unprecedented view of how whales see the world. Vampire bats are the stuff of nightmares. To survive, they need blood. So much that after a single feeding, a bat can double in size. But there are a number of misconceptions about these creatures. First, they don't really suck blood. They make a bite, then lick it. And second, they don't usually fly to their victims. They crawl like spiders. And they can jump like frogs. And this research video shows the most amazing bat locomotion of all. It turns out these bats can run efficiently and at a pretty decent clip. Top 5 countdown, actual bloodsuckers. Number 5, the tick. Its mouth is shaped like 2 saw blades. And as the blood flows, it inflates like a balloon. Number 4, the garden variety mosquito. Beware, these bloodsuckers can land on exposed flesh at a rate of 200 per minute. Number 3, the leech. This one doubles in size as it sucks blood. 300 microscopic teeth and anesthetic saliva mean the victim doesn't feel a thing. Number 2, the lamprey eel. Its mouth is a circle of sharp teeth. A lamprey will hang on for hours, days, weeks until there's nothing left to suck. Number 1, the top bloodsucker is an insect newly discovered by Jennifer Zaspel in Siberia. Not surprisingly, it's being named the vampire moth. At first sight, this looks like a hoax. Perhaps an arm in a fake elephant trunk. Or trick photography. But this is absolutely real. Elephants in Thailand can paint. Not just abstract art, but a credible figure of an elephant, holding a flower. Elephant art sells for big bucks to raise money for their upkeep, even though a conservationist admits many find it hard to believe.
Most people don't think it's real or it's somehow faked. Even with the video, they're like, it must be a puppet with somebody's hand drawing this.
How do they do it? Well, the elephants are from here, a conservation center outside of Chiang Mai. For the most part, these are the descendants of elephants domesticated decades ago, and they're used to being around humans. So they've been trained to perform stunts not usually seen anywhere else in the world. Their football skills are impressive. But the real star of the show is when a female named Hong takes up her brush. A male named Sanjay also works a canvas. When first given a paintbrush, the elephants created random lines and dots on paper. Over many months, the trainers taught them to repeat a set pattern. Skeptics contend the elephants are guided completely by their keepers, with a hand on the trunk or ear. Almost everyone agrees the elephants don't realize they're creating portraits. But a few believe this remarkable feat is perhaps a step towards self-recognition.
So it's been taught this, but at the same time, once a species starts to draw a representation of itself, it's only a matter of time before it can understand what that drawing is.
Hong's handler says all elephants are capable of holding a paintbrush, but only a few demonstrate artistic flair. Meaning, like humans, some are just born with talent. Check out this unusual National Geographic map. One way of finding out where people live is to watch what happens when the lights go on. This image from space has been created by using 3 satellites, photographing Earth on cloudless nights over the course of a year. India, with a population of more than 1 billion, glows dimly compared to Italy, which is only 60 million. And just as in the past, people continue to live near water. This is the Nile River Valley, the Ganges River in India, the United States Great Lakes, the island nation of Japan. Bright lights indicate the port cities of Bangkok and Rio are lively spots. Greenland, not so much. In icy conditions, it's always been easier to go downhill than uphill. Then, some people turn sledding into a competition.
One, two, three.
In Camden, Maine, a traditional wooden toboggan chute draws racers like Ben Hazen.
We're hoping for #1 this year.
That's a lightweight.
Competitors hurl down the icy chute, hoping for a record-breaking time. 122 meters in a few white-knuckled seconds. Ben and his teammates inch their way to the top of the chute.
Here we go.
A fast time depends on flat, solid ice. Yet the shining sun threatens to turn the course into slush. They didn't get the gold, but they've definitely got the thrill.
That was awesome.
A dog can make about 10 different facial expressions. So this expression could mean, "Can I have food?" Or, "Do you have food?" Or, "Is it time for food?" Or even, "Do I smell food?" Some of the last places left to explore are where few dare to go. Caves are the obsession of Nat Geo photographer Steven Alvarez.
As a child, it was the most incredible, adventurous thing you could do. You'd go somewhere no one's ever been before. And for some reason, I kept doing it.
The problem with caves are obvious. Besides being deep and dangerous, they're completely dark. It's almost impossible to see the magnificence of these underground caverns, some as large as cathedrals. But Steven is going to change that. He's going to photograph a cave in Tennessee known as the Rumble Room, a massive hidden cavern that stretches over 1.5 hectares. To do it, he and his assistants are going to need a lot of light, and they'll need it all at the same split second.
I'm ready.
He's devised a plan to place flashes around the cave and time the shots like a military airstrike.
I want a guy here. I want a guy there. I want a guy there.
Fire.
Okay, reload.
Fire.
Reload. 3, 2, 1, fire.
The planning pays off.
Awesome. Yeah.
A 61-meter hole in the earth is revealed in all its glory. Top 5 countdown. animal feuds. Number 5, rhinoceros beetle. They sort of have their own miniature version of Kung Fu. Number 4, humpback whales. The males lunge like a couple of sumo wrestlers. Number 3, bighorn sheep. These big boys use their 13-kilogram horns to fight over females. Number 2, monitor lizards. When they fight, it's a real smackdown. But the top pick really knows how to brawl. The number 1 animal family feud, lions. They're the only big felines that live in prides. So when a dispute breaks out, it can turn into a free-for-all catfight. Hammerhead sharks that reproduce without sex. Is this story true or false? You'll have to decide. It's commonly known as virgin birth, and hammerheads are one of the few species that can do it. This marvel of evolution was discovered when a female in a Nebraska zoo produced an offspring without a male anywhere in the vicinity. Can this possibly be true? The answer? Yes. The mother did it all on her own.
When we looked at the DNA of the baby shark, we found absolutely no trace of genetic material from the father, which proves that its mother was a virgin.
Virgin birth. There are dozens of species that can do it, and you can count hammerheads among them. Crocodiles have the ability to snap large prey in their powerful jaws and tear them apart. Which is why this isn't something you usually see. Croc owner Gilberto Graham owns a farm in Costa Rica, where he has an unusually close relationship with a once wild croc named Pocho. Gilberto says he rescued Pocho 25 years ago after the croc was shot in the eye. Now, he claims the croc sees him as a companion, not as dinner. They kiss and cuddle and roughhouse like a guy with a big dog. Gilberto says he even taught Pocho to follow simple verbal and visual commands, and is now teaching his croc to roll over through constant repetition, with mixed success. We may never know if Pocho is as fond of Gilberto. So far, he's kept his mouth shut. This explosive volcano has already killed thousands of people. That doesn't scare this guy. Jeff Johnson willingly enters active craters. And this one is a doozy. Santiaguito in Guatemala. Since 1922, it has been the scene of constant volcanic activity. These days, it erupts almost hourly, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. During the day and at night. Oh, baby! Its red-hot lava can be seen for kilometers. And you can hear it, too, like a primal roar from deep within the earth. And that's what interests Jeff, the sounds made by volcanoes. With research supported by National Geographic, he wants to show how the rumblings can give us a clear picture of the crust of the Earth shifting and cracking beneath the surface. His plan? Put microphones in the blast crater so he can hear what happens when it erupts. And that means he has to head into the hot zone.
This is not where you want to fall.
Awesome.
The team works furiously to place and retrieve the microphones. Trouble is, this is Santiaguito. It could erupt any second. The volcano is rumbling and the team gets moving.
This is one place I don't want to hang out forever.
Look at that monster.
Almost.
Whew. It's a close call. They may have successfully recorded sounds from deep below the surface. But Santiaguito gets in the last word. Some performers are born and raised into circus families, but others, like Morgane Rosenthal and her partner Ryan Webb, have to break into the business as adults. Someday they hope to get hired by a circus in Europe. But first they have to come up with an act at a circus school in California. It takes pain, risks, and endless practice to make something extremely hard look effortless.
If it starts to wobble, will you just say
wobble?
Wobble.
Yeah.
Okay.
Careful that you don't dig it into my collarbone, because that will
Ready?
I'll die.
A professional coach is on hand to make some helpful suggestions.
Well, particularly like the romantic part.
Yeah.
When you go to hair. This could need a little bit of cleaning, perhaps.
The school teaches the tricks of the trade, but a lot depends on practice. Morgane and Ryan say they stretch almost every day. And off the ground, they can spend hours working on their technique.
We're doing good. That's better, better, better. Leg parallel to the floor. Yes, yes, good. What we love about doing circus is that it's unique. It's exciting to hope that one day we'll be Abe on stage.
So anyone who has ever fantasized about running away to join a circus might just want to get their act together. Top 5 countdown. Bugs in the kitchen. Number 5, the cockroach. One female can produce an extended family of 100,000 in just 1 year. Number 4, mealworms. It's hard to tell males and females apart, in case you wanted to. Number 3, weevils. You can turn the tables. They're high in fiber. Number 2, meal moth larvae. They like pasta because hollow tubes provide a great little cave to suspend their silk webbing. The number 1 bug in the kitchen is living on this block of fine German cheese. It's purposely ripened in a box of cheese mites, which are said to give it an exquisite flavor. These little relatives of spiders eat, reproduce, and defecate right on top of a recognized delicacy. Your world. Weird. Daring. Breathtaking. Amazing.
Oh, sorry.